I'ma get him. Ah, wordplay, okay. My name is Jessica Holyfield, and I'm a professional dance choreographer and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States, and we are here taking a look at aespa's Armageddon. This is a Patreon request. Shout out to Zay for the request. It's not just a normal request though, because Zay is my first member, a part of my On the Flip Side tier, which is a new tier that not only gets you a guaranteed reaction request a month, but also a just take. So I'm going to be learning this choreo as well. The course of it, I'm pretty excited. I don't really know what to expect. I think the only part I know is the that one, right, of this, but it's not the actual choreo. It's actually just people just doing this for a very, 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 very long time, and they just keep melting into the floor. So that's all I've really seen of this choreo. So I'm excited to take a look. I know my Patreon's got really great taste, so I kind of expect this to be a freaking banger. So let's go ahead and check it out. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like it's coming up. This part. I love it. I love it. There's a lot of these reverbs that really help with making certain punctuation on it. That one's a lot quicker. Okay, I've been trying to remember how many people are in aespa. There's 4, right? Or at least in this one. Yeah. That's a really dope accent. That's cool. Yeah, yeah. Nice. Cool. Nice. Yeah. That was filthy. Oh my god, that's a dope groove. That's cool. And then you have your dancers fill it out. Man, that's super dope. I mean, we have the music video right here, but we're not going to that yet. We're going to the performance version. And then here we go. Armageddon. I'ma get him. Ah, wordplay, okay. I wonder if those braids bother her because they're across her face like that. Because I know they would me. But sometimes you just get used to it. It's work, you know what I mean? Chitty bang bang. Okay, I see 4. I'm gonna double check before we analyze it. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, oof. I really like the wordplay of Armageddon and Armageddon. Oof. Makes me test my English. Nice. Yeah. I really love how they have the dancers use their wrist. Ooh! To compliment what they're doing and their subtlety. I'm really a fan of the hand choreo on this. A lot. It's so subtle, but it makes one heck of a difference. Get done. Okay. Back, throw it back, throw it back. So it feels like we've thrown back. The sound production. That's cool. That's a really dope, that's a dope set. That one right there. It feels like I need nails for this. I don't have any right now. Armageddon. Waha. That's dope. Like, I really like the performance version a lot. Like, ooh, sheesh. Okay, music video time. Let's go. Armageddon. Shoo. Armageddon. Watch, I'm a right back, 진짜 너도 네 마가 설 땐, 한 걸음 앞으로 날아든 it's best, 사라진 feedback, 시작된 Code Black. It's chaotic night. Wow, okay. Bang, chitty, bang, bang. Yeah. It's interesting, we got the faces get all blurred. Oh, way, oh, way, oh. Love that sound. Cool. I like the back and the front shot on that. Cool. Bang, chitty, bang, bang. Really, they got some really fun little moments in the track like that. They're really fun. A lot of memorable moments in the track like that right there. Get it. It's the second one. When they do it the second time, it's so cool. Better run. Also, the dancers in some of these takes, it kind of looks, I don't know, they don't look quite real. Does that make sense? This is so fascinating. And I know aespa had like a whole AI situation, and like that was like part of their niche as a group in the very beginning. I don't know if are they still with that concept? Ooh. Throw it back, throw it back. Born like a queen, born like a king. Throw it back. Done. Away, away, oh. This is probably a puzzle piece choreo, isn't it? I mean, I'll look at all of that after we're done with the music video. I have a couple questions I need to answer for myself. Oh, way, oh. I love how they keep it going for that part. Catches you off guard in a great way. Golly, that's cool. Oh, look. Oh, they gave me the credits right here, so I ain't even gotta go look. Here we go. Let me see. I mean, we already kind of missed our first little set of credits. Okay. If we're looking here, creative concept direction. Cool. It's an artist. Yep. Cool. Love it. Armageddon, Georgians, Park. These names feel familiar. See, look, it is stuck in my head. They have won that. That is for sure. Executive producer, all the 3D AI artists. Like, gosh, shout out to the AI artists on that bad boy. Goodness gracious. Why can't I find who choreographed it? They didn't show it. I mean, that's okay. That happens. Okay, so found out who the choreographer was, and I was surprised that it was only one person. Not surprised because of the cohesion of it. Like, it's very clear. Like, it's so freaking dope. Like, I really like this choreo. I've only seen, I think, drama from them, and I've seen them around, of course, but, like, I think that's the only one I can think of that I've seen from aespa specifically, or I've done an analysis of. And this is amazing. And in terms of like the girls, like the actual members, it was a bit tricky for me to know who was a dancer and who was a member. Like part of my troubleshooting in the first initial watch was how many members do I have? You know, like and it's 4 because I did double check that because it's been a hot minute. But I love the fact that they went with just one choreographer because it was a nice surprise for me because I'm normally used to seeing types of choreographies like this when you use dancers. It's multiple people on it. So I love it. I just love it. It's cool. They look really good together in this way. There wasn't anybody that stuck out in any sense, and that's always a good thing. I think we've already seen progress there. That's so cool. Okay, here we go from the top. Golly, this is cool. Zay, I knew you had good taste. I mean, I'm just so glad that I'm able to take a look at this a lot sooner than I would have if I just put it on the schedule and had to just wait it out for an opening. So I love it when I get to look at things way faster. I love that. Armageddon, really cool. This is Armageddon. Oh, the wordplay is so freaking sick, like I've said. And then everybody taking the accent with the hands. I really love that with the folds. Everyone's very intentional. The leans are really nice. Definitely a fan of that. They melt it in. I love that Armageddon. They reverbed it. And then you still have your dancers creating some sense of that tension and that texture involved while you have this bleed up. It's super nice. That little shoo. And I like how they expand it out. Notice that you have your dancers look at the members or look to the inside. I think that's really fun. And you kind of see the members kind of dance in between the dancers, which I kind of like. I mean, you can really kind of see that over here with one of my girls over here on stage left. I like that. And I think there was only one instance where it kind of felt awkward that it was a group of 4, or I felt like we were missing a member, hence why I was really not sure. Because I know that like the group ITZY has 5 members, but I've only looked at their choreo as a group of 4 so far. There's only been 1 or 2 things because it was a mega crew style. So, So that's why, like, it kind of caught me off guard in that way, but it didn't bother me. It just made me have questions. But I like the shoulder roll that they sit there in that, and it goes, Armageddon. They reset, boom. Notice we have this prowess, this power behind it. The music video, there was some overlap in this like chrome kind of headpieces. I mean, I'm not saying it's the same thing as XG, but what I find fascinating is it kind of feels like they're kind of operating in a similar world, but XG is diving into their girl gang era for sure, and they have more explosions and a lot of, you know, half the head being cut off. But I'm thinking about that chromatic kind of crowning kind of stuff. If you look at Kokona on there, on that track, you can kind of see that shown a lot. But in their music video, you see a lot of that kind of overlap just in the chromatic headpieces. I'm here for it. I think it's so freaking sick. Everyone deserves a chromatic headpiece. Everybody gets one. Super fun. But that reverb is so freaking cool. It definitely gives this like a unhuman-like perspective, which really works for the type of track it is, for the niche and brand that aespa, I think, has incepted to have brought. Things like that. It's cool. And then you have your dancers, boom, boom, boom. Nice power right there with their arms. Notice they're using their back to help carry this, so it has power. Because if you just focus on the bicep and tricep of this position, it's not going to have as much power in those reverbs or rebounds. You come back in, that right there, just the commitment is really well done on this, where you have your dancers just freaking drop it back and you're creating really nice levels represented. Super fun. Then you have one of your members right there. It feels like she's being, you know, what's the word, held on to, you know, being forced to be there. And then you have a little level represented from another member, which I think is super dope. Cool, easy to see. Part of me really likes dance practices where you can't tell who's members and who aren't, like, based on fits. So yeah, I used to have a couple, like, all the dancers are in black, but some of the members of aespa are also in black, so it wasn't quite clear to know who all are members, and you have to rely more upon the choreography to showcase your features instead of the camera op, because it's a fixed cam, right? So I'm really happy about it, because it really helps me see, does the choreography showcase the members, or is it because of what they're wearing? And this is a great test of that. So far, I mean, it's pretty clear to know who is my feature. She is wearing white, of course, but she is in the center, and how she's promoting and projecting is really nice. She's the closest to the front outside of those that are mirrored and down on the ground. It's cool. I like that. Oh, really nice. And then you have the stoicness of the stillness of the outside too, which is really cool. That little DDD, a lot of syncopation. We're kind of going a lot on the lyricism. And I've talked about this on a couple other tracks with other groups, but I'll talk about it here if this is your first video with me, where anytime a choreographer decides to choreograph on tone or on a rhythmic pattern from vocals, it's always a bigger risk that you run whenever you do it in a live context, because for artists it's different because they're singing as well, and we don't know what's going to be on a backtrack and what's not. And it's just really cool that a choreographer is like, I want to take this risk with you, and that means the artist has to hold down that vocal or that rhythmic pattern as effectively as it was shown here in the original audio, because what happens is that the musicality will get off if their vocals don't match either the pitch progression of the movement quality or the texture, and that's supposed to calibrate to how it's being said. So I always love seeing that. I always appreciate it, and I have a huge respect to choreographers who take the risk to do it, because having music that doesn't change is one thing, but having somebody who vocalizes and depending on where they're at can determine their vocal condition can determine how it comes across. It's just always so fascinating to talk about. It's cool. So I like that right there, and they take it DDD. Then she goes dig, dig, nice, and then you have the dancers move to the inside, really nice. And then this part, do, 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 I put it at 0.75 because there's a lot of information happening, a lot of moving parts to this. I like the points. Normally I see hands, like blades of some kind, that frame, but I don't really see points as much. So I like it. It's slightly different, a little variant, but I like the framing. They take it around, and I like that she has it right here. Yep, get that thumbs up, little effects on my video camera. Cool. I think that's super dope. Really cool. And then she goes, oh, and she goes, whoa. Once again, she bleeds it around to match her tone. Really cool. Then she goes, DDD, keeps those fingers where they are to syncopate it as she picks it up. Really nice. Swing, swing. And then we take the arms and we go from a point to a full hand. So we're building it ever so slightly, involving the torso. And we're also kind of we're lifting the hands ever so slightly in this kind of hip weight shift between the two sides, which is really cool. Tension. Wow. There's so much tone represented in these textures. which is, like I said, that's a lot of risk, and I love it. I love being able to appreciate it. Then she takes it through D D D D D and D D D D D. She picks it up and she uses it as a fun little transition. She still does a lot of similar mannerisms that she just did in the choreo to kind of showcase I'm still the feature and we're still tying into what I'm talking about, which I really like. New feature into the chat. I like this where they take the arms do 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 do, where they lift, using the back to really project the accents near the top, and they put and present the hand out. And I like the rock back, really cool. The walks are nice. And the subtlety here, and I like how she digs it a little bit deeper than everybody else. Everyone takes a more stoic, not jazz walk approach, but a little bit more of a femme approach. She takes that rock and bounce, like more, like a lot deeper into that. And the reason why she doesn't look out of pocket for that is because they're also doing a back rock too, to help with the accent. Super cool. A little da-da-da-da-da-da, and then your dancers take their hands and they have a kind of interwoven, and then you have a member that's doing the same thing as your other feature. But my feature, she's taking her arm up and the swing from side to side. And now that now that I'm kind of thinking through all of what we've looked at, because I've looked at 3 different perspectives of the choreo at this point, I really like the fact that there's so many choices that showcase subtle differences between the dancers and the members, and it has to do with the fingers. Like literally the difference between the separation or together, or having a fixed point take place in the back where they're doing a little finger wormy wave. Like that kind of stuff is so freaking sick. I love being able to admire it with y'all. It's just so cool. That's an example right there. That's how I know, okay, it's either that's a member right here, because she's doing the same thing as my other feature and my dancers are doing something the same, or it could just be this is a different grouping of dancers and she's deviating entirely. So I have a feeling that this is a member, because also I have the hint of the flannel, but I like that a lot. That's cool. And there's this little kick that just happened right over there. I like that. She said, hello, I'm here, but it's so subtle. It's probably because of the lighting. Let's call it what it is. The lighting's really dark, so you can kind of see that silhouette of her kick, but it wasn't as much of a focal point because she wasn't in a spotlight. But I like how she goes, wah, everybody hits it, boom. And then you have your feature that happened the first time. She's hanging out right here. What's she about to do? She definitely has a different posture in how she's hitting it through. I like this shoulder roll with the hips. It definitely gives, could you catwalk that like in Vogue potentially, but I wouldn't really give it the style at all. But I like how they're using it as a transition. They're framing it. There's so much going on. And that's one reason why I just naturally assumed that there were multiple people on it, because a lot of times when you see this degree of formation, staging, and spacing, it's a team, or it's multiple people on it, or a collab between a couple choreographers. I'm not used to seeing just one person. In the K-pop scene, in the Gen 5 era of things, aespa is not a Gen 5. I know this. They are Gen 4 through and through in the Gen 4. But my point being, like, the Gen 5, there's, like, such a structure in the choreography nowadays for how that generation's being showcased. And a lot of the Gen 4 are following suit in concepts because there's an overlap in choreographers and concepts. Like, that's just what it is. There's ongoing trends and things, and we're all putting our spin on it, which I love. I'm here for it because all the concepts are freaking dope. I'm here for it. But I'm normally used to, like I've said, especially with other companies, you're used to seeing multiple people's names. Like you got 3, 4, like if you talk about Rise, for example, they got at least 3 or 4 people on their tracks all the time. Even if it's like an exclusive house track, like with Impossible, they had like 3 or 4 people on that bad boy, And so I digress, but my point being is that I love the fact that I'm so surprised that we get to celebrate like one choreographer's perspective. But honestly, I think that was a really great like formula that works for this group specifically, because it kind of feels like they're all more on the same page here than what I've seen before. Now, drama was freaking dope, don't get me wrong, but I really like the fact that they're all this. It's so cohesive here, and I mean that very complimentary. And I dived a little bit into Reddit just to kind of find out who choreographed it, and that's how I learned. And there were some people mentioning that they said that this was a lot more like on the same page. It feels really good. It feels collectively on like collectively collaborative, and it feels like everyone's on the same page, and it helps you appreciate your concept more, especially when you're diving into more like an animated, post-apocalyptic, those types of genres. There is some rigid and unhingedness about it, but having some cleanliness does help with the robotic side of the concept justification, or the unearthly AI side, I guess. Does that make sense? Oh yeah, okay, cool. So right here, I like the subtlety from her feature there. I love that little brush action. She takes her hand, she throws it up, no one else is, so it helps us see, hey, she's our feature. That's kind of like a, hey, look at me, but in a really stylized way. I think that's really cute. She walks through, she's the only one looking front for that moment. She walks in, and then she goes, has a nice deviated moment. We have the turns through. Of course, that could be a smidgen cleaner, but the performance version and the MV were really dope. So I like that bang, chitty, bang, chitty, bang, bang, oof. And that is where a really good case of this felt like we had a fifth member, but it's basically they had another dancer be able to create, and shout out to the shade over here to where it doesn't really help us, like it doesn't stick out as much, and our four look really, really good here. It's cool. What I find interesting though is that we have our four members on the outside. What they could have done is have a dancer on this side, boom, boom, and had your members, the group of four, on the inside, and then you have a dancer on the outside. It would have felt symmetrical, and it would have felt like, okay, I only have four dancers. But how they set it up, because they have her on the outside, and then they have 3 extra dancers on the in, just literally moving a dancer over was going to make it feel more intentional to the number of members that you have. So that was my first one of, are we missing someone? We're not. That's fine. But I like that choice where everybody does the same thing, bang, chitty, bang, and then our dancers hold, and they have their nice moment, and then everyone goes, and they knock the head, and our dancers now facing the back. Their subtlety, great from one of our members walking through. Love the hips with the ISO. Notice her complimenting it with the shoulders. Looks great. She goes, he takes it up. Definitely feels like, there's a lot of like gun imagery kind of. And then she goes bang, chitty, bang, like bang, pop off. I like the dancers taking their arms up, shooting them up to the sky. Really nice. Then go bang, chitty, bang, bang. Ooh. Then this right here, I like taking their hands and they're putting them right behind, and you have the subtlety going on with the chest, the complement, the accents in the hips there, but the chest really does create some residual effect out of it. And the members are really cool there, where they're facing the side. This right here is really dope, and the reason why it works is because everybody does it to the same degree of execution. That's why moments like this work. Get it, and then they literally just feel like I just pushed a button and I turned them on, right? Like boom, like a robot. It's so freaking cool. I love the bass on that. They're most likely doing a reverb chest bop, which is different than a pop. A pop is an external chest hit, a bop is an internal chest hit. So they're engaging in the diaphragm, boom, and they're using it to create this residual effect in the chest, and that's how they're carrying through this motion. Really nice. So it's technically a speed change. There's tension here as they're creating a really nice punctuation. It kind of feels like a rocket's blasting off into space. It kind of feels like that. Done. And notice with our dancers, done. They take it and they bleed it down. Ooh, really fascinating way for everybody to have unison in the torso, but different arms to showcase different levels. Love that choice. And everyone committed to their head. And this is how it literally rests my case of the entire point of this feels like my members are in the front, my dancers are in the back. I love it. You see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You just did a 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, cool. I don't know if did we always have 6 dancers? Maybe. That's not the point. But this is one of those cases where I kind of talked about in the very beginning of the analysis of you have the subtlety going on with our aespa members, and then you have your dancers with something subtle, but it matches this, but it's on a bigger scale. So they have to make sure their fingers are in check to match the same degree of of movement that's going on with the fingers with our aespa members. Super cool. Super freaking cool. And that little oh way, oh way, oh. Our dancers are nice and stoic, not taking away from what they're doing. They're doing oh way, oh way, oh. So they're low-key sitting in it and adding this little extra grungy bounce to it. I call it a petty bounce is what I would call that. It's so cute. Then they take it through. I love that swipe over, taking that leg, placing it up, putting the weight more on the left side so it feels more counterbalanced. I really like that. then they go double, and then they do a little box step to come out of it, switch, switch, and they take the chest, they push it out, and then they go boom, boom, it. And there's the subtlety of the head. So if you're somebody who's like, there's something about this, it's because there's a mix of using the chest, locking that chest up, using a chest bop. You're using that reverb to help initiate these movements both times. Not only that, when they go and they hit it from side to side on the switches, they're using their back to keep the angle in check, but not the angle, they're keeping the position in check so the angle can switch, but it's the same degree on both sides. And I love the little subtlety of this because it kind of feels like a comma before we go again in the choreo. And then the dancers, they take it, instead of going here, they now drop it even lower, and it matches the tone on the freaking backs. Renan, oh my god, girl, that there's so much tone risk on this for choreography, and that's probably why it feels so dope, because I'm not used to seeing this niche of tone writing or lyricism captivation in this way, as aggressive as it is in the texture shifts. I personally really like this. This is cool. Away. And notice what happens with the dancers. They're no longer up with the subtlety of the hand. They're now taking the hands and they're making it a fixed point. But they're making it, oh my gosh, what is this called? Jessica, use your brain. We know what this is called. You use your wrist to kind of guide this, and it's similar to a wave, but you're going more, it's just a different side. You're engaging the different parts of your muscles. But I'm saying like the sides of your hands, you're using this, but you're still using the fingers to kind of guide. Well, actually, hold on. Are they using their fingers or are they using the wrist? That does change how it looks. Done. Oh, and they brush it in the back. They're using their wrist. Oh. And that does matter, because if you're going fingers or if you're going wrist, you want to make sure that at least with your hands, your personal hands, some of the dancers, they kind of overshoot it, or based on the flexibility of their wrist bend like that, can determine how big this is. I'm assuming some of them have a more subtle approach, some have a really big approach. As long as the timing is met and the range is met, I don't think it really matters as much. And the members, they do the same thing. And they go away, and they're using the hip to complement this, so it feels bigger than it actually is, because there's other environmental movement qualities that are factoring into this being your focal point. This is just so cool. And this part right here, D, I like the tap. I think with some of them, they don't quite have as much, once again, that back engagement, D, as much as they could. D, I like that choice, and the pulls are nice. And then we take the dig, dun. I like that part where they take it with the pinkies and it kind of feels like we're scooping in. Our dancers have their hands placed behind the back on this, and then you have your members with this bad boy right here. I love it. And there's subtlety there. Look at the tension. I love the double bounce happening right there for my girl. They take the arms, they bring it up. There's your reverb. Once again, you have your dancers on the sides. It does feel like our dancers over here are a smidgen too close because one of them is not matching. If this is our true center, which is what it looks like because they're splitting our center. Notice the spacing between our members, boom, is more complementary to what's going on this side with our three. This side feels more condensed. She needs to scoot out. I think what needs to happen. I think she's too far directly behind, or it could low-key be our position, because this could very easily be your center based on the line in the room. Sometimes it's just easy to use that and mark that. And in that case, the camera's too far over on the stage left, so it makes everything just slightly off. And that's the downside when you look at a full cam, one take shot, is that if that camera is not centered in the room and they're dancing on not the center of our center point, it's going to have subtly different formation deviations where it's hard for us to really know, oh, is that really a spacing thing? Or is that it's just, we just need to move the camera, but in this case, it does. It kind of, at least they're mirrored for sure. I just feel like my girl right here is literally right behind her when she's not supposed to be. I think she's supposed to be out on the outside, is what it looks like. But then also on this side, based on our angle, boom, it looks like she could be directly behind that girl. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is that, yes, this doesn't feel like 100% as balanced, and that's why it's because of this side. It could be the camera, though. Done. I like the subtlety of that once again, because this right here, boom, matches, but it's a little different because the angle in which they're presenting the information is different. I love it. And then they sit down into it, and then they twinkle it up. Ooh, I love it right there. And using the hip, it matches what they did in the very, very beginning in their setup. I love that. All the dancers, they're doing so much to complement. Like the torso is all on the same page with all the dancers. The hands, the extremities deviate. And that's why it's so easy to see the difference between our members and our dancers in the course specifically. It's not just the formation. That's cool. And I like with oh, and so our dancers going up nice and high, except for our front. Our front, keep it low so it at least complements what's going on with aespa, as they want to project this imagery more in the forefront, and this is an environmental level justification in the back. Super cool. Makes sense on that. And they freeze and they keep going, and they use the hips to help on that mini travel. They switch it over. Of course, I would say they could always do a slightly better job whenever they rotate around on the spacing of their legs, because how you turn can determine how you get into your next move, because of your range of your step is going to be slightly different. Now it is interesting. We have all of our back dancers face the same direction as aespa, and then our front dancers didn't really move. They just stayed facing the inside. I find that interesting. I don't mind it actually at all. It's just cool. Boom, boom. So that was a nice little double bounce out of that. And it ties in what we did here with that extra reverb effect. Boom, right there. God, so cool. Like, that's so cool. Then we have Armageddon, boom. Now this it does low-key look like to me, you know, they have all those different camera shots with the blurred faces, but also it looked like you know, whenever missiles get launched, you know, in the movies, and they kind of lock in on their target, it kind of feels like they're turning on like a lock-in on their target, which gives a sense of non-human-like characteristics. So cleanliness can really help justify that concept. It goes back to that. I think this is way, like, not way cleaner, but I feel that aespa feels more like a group here, which I think is really, really cool. That's so cool. The subtlety of these ISOs are super dope. I love that. And they all go boom, they look in. I love that little surprise. Notice justification of levels, because you got those that are still on the ground hanging out. I love that they're mirrored to the inside, which is great. Helps with our feature. We have a lot of little choreography going at it, facing towards the inside. And then I love the branch out with the arch, and then having your hands up nice and tall in the back. That's just really nice, very complimentary, very stylized, really fun. And I like the subtlety of my feature, adding a little extra body roll happening in the chest. Really cool. That boom, boom, dun, 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 dun. It does kind of feel with that. Ba, ding. There's like this ding, ding happening in the back, which I think is what they're hitting. Then she goes, Armageddon. And she takes the finger. Notice what they're doing with their head. Armageddon. Cool. She takes that arm up. The little blocks are nice. They melt in. Boom. They said, excuse me. She said, let me tell you what's up. And then right here, they go, they step. Yes to walking on tempo. I'm here for it. Great stylized presentation. It matches what we did with our arms up nice and tall and framed in the previous section. They said, so they're kind of showcasing, hey, we're also singing still here, but now we're creating like a little cipher circle. And, you know, it's leveled, it's layered. We got a lot of different, you know, we have a lot of depth involved here. And the only person that is, you know, looking straight front is the one we naturally want to look at, which is cool. The subtlety here with the hips. What really makes these types of grooves work is the isolation of the upper body as the lower body does its thing, which is what we're seeing right here. You see the hips are our focal point. They're the accent. The beauty of keeping these angles as still as possible, you have to learn to isolate between the upper body and lower body in order for this to kind of low-key be little fixed point training for that. And I like how they branch it out. You have every other come back in, and then you have your hands nice. I mean, would I give it tutting? I mean, tutting really would help in a lot of these angles, and you can definitely see that we have intention behind that, which is super cool. Does remind me of, you know, you would say pharaoh tutting. I mean, I said tutting, but tutting, the name comes from the inspiration of King Tut, or Egyptian hieroglyphics. So if you didn't know that, now you know. So that's why it's called tutting. So anytime I hear that, that could be a modified sound or tonal color of an instrument that derives from Egypt. Could potentially. I mean, I'm not saying that's what it is, but that could give that sense of why they have some of these choices and they match pretty well. I'm not sure though. I like the switch. Dun, 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 dun. Cool. Those are your members. That's your aespa members. Cool. and they walk once again. So now knowing how they trained us as a viewer to watch, I'm going to be looking for, okay, if there's 3 others outside of the feature that deviates and do choreo that is complementary to our feature, and everybody else is making subtle different choices, I'm going to assume those 3 people are my aespa members. And that's just how they set up the choreo all the way until this point. And that's a really great strategic formula to use for a choreographer. Like, Renan, good God, girl. Like, I'm really a fan of her stuff for this. This is awesome. I like the hips on that. They go in the accent, boom, really nice. I like that and how she ends up sitting and leaning back on it. Really nice choice. That little dun dun, and then we go, taking a nice little ripple. And that was a really fun way for having your next feature start that. And then as it's still going, she comes in. That definitely brings some complexity and commitment too. They are committing and relying upon the timing of the music and not on her, because she's deviating. She's like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to do my section. And that is like tone setting, or that's environmentally setting into the next thing. It kind of feels like, what's it? It's not quite the, what is it? Kind of feels like, dominoes, and you're just kind of living your life and walking through as the world's collapsing. It kind of gives off like subtle imagery of that. That's kind of cool. There's that boom boom little jack, and then of course the only people who are not deviating are our aespa members, and that's how I'm like, okay, that's who I need to focus on as my feature with my other members, and then all my dancers are facing the back. That's cool. That dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. So they learn the choreo opposite, because the dancers are ending up going the same direction as our members, but they're facing different ways. Normally, if everybody learned the same choreo, you're going to see opposition, but I like the fact that they're all going the same way, because you're putting more responsibility on carrying more complex choices with the dancers, and that's why I feel like it's a really smart, strategic way to use your dancers. That's why they're there. They're taking responsibility to help carry the power and presence that that dancing can bring and can help with whenever the members of a group, their job is to perform. When you go to a concert for a group, you're not just there to watch them dance. You're there to watch them perform, interact with the audience, to sing, to do all of it, right? To have conversation. And so the dancers do carry for me, I think they have a heavier responsibility in the dance side of things, because that's their job. It's in their skill set to contribute to the big picture. So aespa doesn't have to worry as much. They can literally stand there and the concept gets pushed forth. Like, that's kind of the energy, like they fill in the gaps of where they need to provide more energy, so aespa can do their thing and do their job, right? So it feels very, it feels respectable on both sides, the dancers and the members, because the members are holding it down physically in the musicality choices and in their movement quality, because like I said, it made me question who's my member and who is my dancer, and that's also another beautiful thing of not having everybody like have a very distinct difference between your members and your dancers, because it helps me really know where are my members. It's cool. This is so cool. I like the snap snap, and they go boom boom, nice and quick. I like the little hairbrush and a little dig and a dig. I really like that. And they take it, they frame it, they go and they expand it to the outside, a little arch, and then you have your feature. Notice that hers are a little bit more drooped and more to the sides, but it does allow this fun level to happen at the top. And then you have dancers in the back. They are just taking their bodies and they're framing it. Just their bodies match what's going on with our front layer or our front group. Oh, let me see, because they're bending here, right? Yeah, so you see that, boom, 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 cool. And then you have your feature right here, and then you have one dancer or one member is right here. And then you have dancers here. So, okay. aespa's here. That's what we're chalking it up to. Then you have 2 dancers that are facing the inside to match our aespa members with the same legs. Then we have 4 dancers, because I think there's 6 dancers here, right? You have 4 of them, 2 on each side, facing their outside, but they're also bending the legs to the same degree with the same arch to create this really nice imagery in the lower half. So they don't have to do anything with the arms. You have some really cool moments happening in the upper body, but then some really nice opposition happening in the lower body. So it feels very full, without it losing the quality of where we need to focus, which is in my center. That's so cool. That is so cool. And notice this, ooh, I didn't even let them finish. Oh my God. Because if you see what the dancers that I just pointed out do, you have a lot of these choices is a little bit more full from aespa and our 2 dancers. And then with our 4, they hit it, and then they have this tension speed change. So it's polyrhythmic through delegation is what I call it. So there's polyrhythms that are in play in tracks all the time, 2 or more rhythms that happen at the same time that are different. A lot of times you have content that showcases polyrhythms, which is very complex. I would say a choreographer that is perfect for this, Keone Madrid. Keone did a lot of BTS choreo, hence why a lot of BTS choreo is very polyrhythmic and difficult. That's why. And then if you look for through the art of delegation is you use the strength of your numbers to be able to, I'm going to showcase this part of my music with this group of dancers, and I'm going to showcase this part of the music with this group of dancers. It doesn't make the performer, like aespa for example, they don't have to carry the weight of justifying all of the essence of the section of the choreo with the music. They don't have as much of a dense musicality demand made of them because they have dancers that can help take responsibility for other sections of the track, so it still feels full, but they're able to focus on what they need to without as much brain power to polyrhythmically sing, as well as hit their accents, but also hit and justify these new nuances of the track that come in that need to be justified in order to feel like we're all on the same page and we're building it to a good place. Because just like with sound production, whenever you hear in the side of here's all these new integrated parts of our music that progress from our verse to our pre-chorus to our chorus to our bridge to whatever, all of those have different setups like the crescendos, decrescendos, and climactic events with all of them. Your choreography has to reflect that as well, or it's going to feel dull, redundant, and plain. This is not that, and that's one reason why. It's because of what I just said. The delegation of polyrhythms in the track through the movement, where you can take a simpler approach, but it feels like a very full picture because it is. Oh, I love it when I get to talk about stuff like this. Let's go! They bleed it, boom! So they take the arm, notice they keep it there, it's a subtle fixed point, they make that hand branch to the back, represent it forward, really fun. Walk, I love the walk on the switch, they go, they take it, bum, diddy, bum, bum, da da dun dun. So I like with the curve on this, so you have your dancers with that, with their hand right there on the back. They take it and they're gonna scoop that arm nice and accented. And then with your aespa members, my girl right here in the white, it does look like she's using her extremities more so than her back. If she used her back, it would feel a little bit more accented and powerful. Let me see who is using their back so I could give you an actual example. Okay, I think she's using her back a little bit more, or it could be how she's tilting her head that helps with some of the choices. If you look, chitty bang bang chitty, yeah, because hers feels more subtle, but because of my girl right here, she goes boom. Notice there's like an extra punctuation at the tail end of it. It's because she has power to use for that type of movement. So that would be my little note there. I think I ended up talking about this in drama, so you can still see it here, right? But it's subtle. It's more subtle here because of how the choreography is structured. I like it. The subtlety here. Ba-na-na-na. Oh, love that. Love that. Boom, gotta see. This right here is so fun. Normally I see these kinds of swings at the tail end when there's no music. I like the fact they have it here. It gives this like a what do you want from me kind of vibe. You wish you were me kind of stuff. I love it. I love it when things that I'm used to seeing in other parts of choreo are done and reformatted, because it feels like you've given me a different pattern, a different way that something can be done. And that's what we love seeing, is we love learning. I love learning about how we can take movements like this. Of course, I think it could be a little bit, slightly a little bit cleaner, but gosh, I love being able to see these types of interruptions where they go bang, chitty, bang, chitty, bang, instead of going bang, chitty, bang, chitty. Like, they don't have to hit it the same way 2 times. They're taking the complete opposite approach and hitting just the essence and environment of it. And that makes me captivated just as much as the tricky syncopated content side of it. And that to me shows maturity of your choreographer and the risk taking that is allowed it to take place, the maturity of your performers and your dancers, that everyone's able to commit in performance, that they can freaking stand there and they can hold it down in performance quality. Performance quality is not the same as choreography competency. It is not the same, because it deals with authenticity of pocket and posture, but naturally what comes with that is going to be your performance side, like how you exude confidence in the carriage in which you bring it. In this case here with choreo, that like this is such a good choreo style on them. I just feel like I like this era of aespa. I haven't really seen many eras, but I like this one. This one's cool. Have they always done this? Based on Reddit, I don't think so. But I like what they're doing with this. I think they need to keep going with it, because so far with drama, I like that one a lot, but I love this one. This one is such a niche, such a vibe. Bang, bang. And they go and they hit it up at the tail end. So they match in what they did before, but they have this nice little interrupted moment. And then you have this really, really dope line. from our dancers. This is freaking awesome. This is why if everybody's on the same page on angles, you get really cool shots like this. Cause look, oh, I just got goosebumps. This is so freaking cool because I'm not used to seeing this. You have, look at these angles. Look right across the shoulders, but look at our dancers. I'm not used to seeing this angle match this angle. Oh my freaking God. That is so cool. Like that is awesome. Oh, they picked the right dancers for this. That is amazing. And they were able to hold it down enough for me to pause it. Golly, that was so cool. Get it. And then you have your levels. Done. Then your dancers do the same thing as they did, but notice we have levels represented here. So what they have to do is they still have to really rely upon that torso to make this happen. And also with aespa, you can tell with some of them, they're not quite on the same page on the angle, but at least on intention. They're doing much better on the quickness of that. And then oh, way, oh, way, oh, oof. And they dig it through. I like this part, and as they did that little scoop, it promoted the dancers to slide out. Then remember, our dancers are matching right there on that box step. Bump, bump, and the dancers reset into their hips, and then it goes dun, oof, cool. And it goes oh, way, oh, way, oh. And I hit it through. Dee, 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 dee. This part feels very strong. So I would say my girl out of everybody, I think I pointed her out before too. She's using her back, and you can tell because a lot of the subtleties in her choices feel strong. That's how you can tell. If someone's doing strong extremity movement, it's because they're using one of the strongest parts of our body, which is our back. It's awesome. I love it. We appreciate it. Hitting it through, she brings it around. I love that. You have your dancers, nice frame with the fold over, and they have it nice and hinged back with their back, which is cool. aespa has their little moment. They transition. I like how they branch it out. It reminds us of some other angles that have been justified throughout the choreo, but not in that structure. Really cool. We dig it through. I like with our dancers, low-key, we have them going forwards and backwards, but they're establishing the direction in which they're at. So sometimes when you see transitions, there's a couple different ways you would see it. First would be if you have your dancers look in the direction that they're moving. So example, if they're doing this groove, they would be turned to the direction. So if it would be my girl over here on stage left, she would actually be turned the opposite way to travel it. And then there's a fixed angled transition, meaning that everybody is facing the same way, or they're facing a designated way, and they're not allowed to deviate from it. So they have to figure out and troubleshoot how to transition something their own specific calibrated way to get to their spot without it ruining the integrity of the position that is supposed to be shown to your viewer, which is what we end up seeing here. And it makes it work very, very well because it creates a super dope visual of this kind of, oh my gosh, it's like a circular kind of rotated conveyor belt style transition is what it feels like, because you have your aespa members in the front line and they're living their life stationary, and then having this kind of, swoop out, and then having your two in the back as dancers create a really nice, it's not easy, but it feels like a very simple transition because you didn't have any complex directions that we're navigating from a visual standpoint. From their point, they had to work harder than just moving to their spot because they can't look where they're going. So it requires some trust and muscle memory to get your spacing right, because you can't see where your person is. You can't see your mirror. You can't see none of that. So that's really dope. Then she goes, ba-na-na. Cool. They all hold it. Arms are here. Boom. Here. So our dancers are nice and still. There's your reverb again. Click, click. Then bringing it through, and then everybody matches the torso. S was the only one that deviates. You can't tell. Some go straight side, some curl it with the elbow. Notice the elbow does determine the look of it. That would be something to clarify, but I didn't catch it in the performance version nor the music video, so I'm going to say that we'll just chalk it up to the one take that we're given here, and that's the beauty of the dance practices. Love it. And then you wave it through. Oh, way, oh, way, oh. They double it up. Match that tone so well. Then they go double, and then the dancers freeze. That kept going on that second one. They go ding, ding, and then they double it up right here once again. Well, no, they go get it done. So they just do one to match and punctuate near the tail end. They walk. So you notice that transition? Everybody was able to walk towards the direction that their body wanted to go. Not everybody faced the same way. So that's the other transition example that I literally said a couple paragraphs ago, was that instance. That's why that transition looked different than this hip rotated transition. It's not just because of the movement, it's because of how the dancers had to fix their direction while they moved. It's cool. Now we're setting up right here. I like this part right here. So we're going and we're setting up that boom. Really nice choice in the head. It's like a snake, but an accented snake. Really cool. I like this. She takes shoulders. She intertwines her fingers. She's about to do a wave. I like it. And I'm going to go ahead and say she did a good job on where she started and where she finished. It was complete. It didn't feel choppy. It didn't feel like we were cutting anything off by this connection. And if you were to learn waving, so like fixed point waves of any kind, this is a really good way of interlocking. You can think all the way through, and then you can play around with different knuckles that are interlocked. This stuff right here can really help you in practicing that. So I actually like the fact she does this because it shows to me that she wants to be intentional about going from A to B, and it's subtly stylized too. Notice that everybody's leaning over it into this side. So by her doing this, I bet you everyone's going to sway over and weight shift over to complement, which is exactly what happened. So they go, boom, nice little snake. She takes it, boom, and they snake over to make this feel bigger than it is through environmental factors. Really cool. Taking it up, I love this, and she's about to bring it over. Then you have everybody convert over to the columns. They take the arms, they bring it down. You can tell the range is just slightly off on that, but I like the boom, boom, boom. Now, honestly, was that everybody at the same time and then they rippled it, or was that supposed to be a cannon? Oh, da-na-na. So this is the same. That was supposed to be the same. And then went back to front ripple. Ding, ding, ding. Right there on her syllables. She takes it. Boom. I like her arms out because it looks like she's the one who made them go down. Subtle. Really cool. She goes to the front. Boom. I really like that, how she sits in that hip. Everybody comes up. Boom. Love that. And we have this moment right here. Super dope. Twinkling it in. And we go, whew. I love that everybody drops to the side. They have a straight leg, but it's extended further out, and you can tell that they're catering. Let me see. If we're here, then that means that their standing leg is going to be where their weight is, which is right here. Her weight's here. But then as she folds over, she transfers the weight over to this side in order for her to not fall over. So you have to have some sense of weight. You don't want to have too much weight on one side, because then it's not going to allow you to engage in the kinesphere really at all. And you want to have that if you're going to have these types of moments. That's cool. Fun feature, she's the only one that's up. Everybody else is on the sides. Good choreography. I like that. There's a little speed change, and then they subtly come up. They come here and melt it up. Na, na, na. And we're here. Now, this was the second case where I'm like, are we missing a member? Because she's right here. It does feel not balanced, but also there's only 2 cases out of the entire 3 minutes that I felt that way. I think we're sitting pretty good, because I've seen other cases with even number groups where it felt like the entire time I was missing someone. And at times that is intentional. It's born to be. And other times it's not intentional. And just how the choreographers or the movement directors just structured the formations just felt like we needed to take more opportunity to figure out some levels or figure out some dynamics to help alleviate some of these awkward, empty choices in the balance and symmetry of choreography. But in this case, this only happened twice, like I said, and it's not even an issue, just an observation is what I would chalk it up to be. Really cool. I like the lean on that, really nice. And then the shoulders to reset it are fun. The walks are cool. She branches it. I like it. Then right here, they bleed it up. My feature's the only one who bleeds it up a little bit slower than everyone else. Totally fine. For me, whenever I see a feature, I think I encourage progression, deviation, modification, anything different, but complement in some way. But showcase you're my feature. You know, if you're going to do the hands slightly different, or do them in a way, depending on your formation, do it the same way. But I like it in those cases where it is still easy for me to see her. And I love how she ended up fully extending that before she finished. And then she keeps her hands up. Everybody else's arms are down. She comes, na, na, and I like how she holds it up and she has an arm up nice and tall to make it feel like we're matching that pitch, or we're recognizing we have a pitch at that level. Then we have everybody kind of diving into really fun poses, and then our dancers have taken a more like exploratory role in the outside, and then we all come right back into something really structured. They reverb it again, and then they say throw it back. Throw it back. I mean, I kind of feel like everyone is looking to the back. Throwback, I'm assuming they're pertaining it to the music side of things. It does feel more like a throwback to more like a fundamental, not old school. I wouldn't go all the way back there, but definitely feels like a rock and a bounce are gonna feel a little bit more appropriate here than in the other sections of the track. But they don't really do that, and I think that's fine. I'm not saying that they needed to, but I understand. I think that they're saying throw it back to the music side more so than movement. movement. But I like the movement too because because of how they're hitting it, it's just cute. Or could it be an Easter egg of something that they've done in earlier work? That's also a really good thing we can entertain, because I love it with a lot of K-pop groups specifically. I notice this. There's a lot of Easter eggs of content that get thrown in throughout their years, depending on what the concept is. And so if they do something like change it up, or they're talking, if they do a wordplay that pertains to another title track, sometimes they do movement that pertains to that title track in a different track. So could we chalk it up to this possibly being something that I'm just not aware of yet, of a movement that they've done in other routines? Maybe. I think that would be so cool. I love seeing that if that's the case. But those are my two hypothetical guesses here. But I really like it. Throw it back, and I like this part. Of course, I think some of our shimmies of our shoulders kind of took away from the hip accent on that, but it's my girl in the white tank top is the one that I noticed that. I like that though. It definitely noticed their chin came up a little bit more. That's the kind of posture that really helps whatever you want to showcase, like a pettiness, a petty groove is what I call it, where you're trying to be petty, feels like that. And then they go and reset it. But I do know shoulders do matter in this. I can tell that. And I did just make a note. Hey, it kind of felt like, I do feel like we could be using the shoulders a smidgen too much for this section. It could just be where our weight's going. And maybe that. Or we're focusing, I don't know what it is. Hold on. Let me troubleshoot this. Because there's subtlety. I think it could just be the lift. How it's being lifted makes the shoulders look a smidgen awkward depending on who we're looking at. It could be that. Maybe. We'll chalk it up to that. It's just an observation. They don't really need to change any of it. It's just I did find my girl in the white tank top a little bit more awkward in that compared to some of the other members. I'm just trying to troubleshoot it though. I like this choice. I like that part. It's more isolated that time right there. And then they walk. Get it. This part right here is really well done. Why? Range. So I've talked about range a couple times now. Timing and range are subtly different. Timing is your A and your B in your count. So it's like 1, 2. Getting from A to B is called range. So it goes from 1, 2. How fast do I get to 2? Is there a speed change that happens? Things like that. And in this case, notice they're not just doing the start and the finish the same, but the degree in which they're going back is the same. And that is what makes it impressive and very, very clean. I love it. Way-o. Yeah, and I love that they're able to just freaking body it to the parallel. That's dope. And then we take it back. I love this part. Hey, that right there definitely is so fun. I love seeing that. I love the smile from some of them because I'd be feeling it like that too. That's a really fun groove to do. Then they switch it. Click, click, click. Nice. And then right there, this is nice. So you have some of our dancers go like really, really low, but I think all of them are, but you can tell that some of them, it could be a camera angle thing, we're really able to see the angle of their torso here because it's more on the side. But some of our girls, we kind of see them more in the corner. So that would be my note to the dancers. If in fact this is a normal thing that they do, that this is like where the range is off, but the timing is right. Does that make sense? This is a good example because the range is the chest is off, but the timing and how they got into it works. Do you know what I mean? So I like that. And then they're taking it, and it looks like their chest is being mixed up by this wrist rotation, which I think is super dope. Then they take it through, boom, boom. And then you have our dancers, they take their arms, I like it covering their mouth, boom, boom, boom. And they stop, the members keep going, but they're doing a different arm. So they were already separate, but they're torsos were the same. That's your underlying fingerprint you're seeing through all of this to really help you find who aespa is. If you've never seen them before, in my case, this is only, I think, the second time. I can say with confidence this is at least my second time watching them. I don't know all of their names or anything. I can't really recognize like all four. I think I recognize maybe one of them because I've seen her featured on like Mana Queen's Mega Crew, but like, for real, this is very impressive of the fact that that's the type of fingerprint you're seeing, or the choreographic strategy of here's how I can make them all do the same thing, change one hand thing about it, and make you know who aespa is and who the dancers are. Like, that's really, really, really dope. I love that. Then they bring it up. I love the arms. Doom, doom, doom. Notice that they say, come here, really cool. then they double it up to the back. So it goes, they bring it up and they go da-da-da, really nice. And then you have your dancers are still framing to the corners to the outside. They go up, and then I like this switch up here. This is cute. And they take it and they switch it. Notice the shoulders in how they're inverting on those legs allow this groove to look a little bit nicer. A lot of times I see it in whenever you like switch places, this part right here, you do need to use your obliques, but there's like a counterbalance that takes place with your legs. So I like this and how they're building it. They come up, and I like the subtlety. You have your members have their hands glued down. You have your dancers with their hands up. Once again, the same exact example, but they're all different every time, and that's why it doesn't feel boring. I like this right here where they're taking it and they're allowing this huge crunch groove, crunch bounce to take place with their body, using the hips and the chest. They're walking forward. She takes it, full shot. So this right here ties into this, right? So I like the fact she ended up going here because it ties into what she did in that section. We branch it out really nice. Comes up, boom. And then we flip it and the dancers' heads flip up. That's dope. Then there's this part is so freaking sick. Oh, way, oh, way, oh. And I like low-key. I think they're only doing the middle fingers. And what works with that is that they did these types of isolation texture choices or dynamics with their other fingers in the choreo earlier in the courses. So seeing this here was just a fun little surprise. Instead of just having all of it, is you break it up and it just makes it intrigued. It makes you want to lean in and see what else is going on. And they go way-o, and they go bounce in, and then we're gonna take it and we have nice little quick steps on tempo. Looks great. And then from here they take our dancers over to the outside, but you have more dancers that frame on the frame here that makes it feel more full in the back. So I like that. So you have your group of 4 and you have 2 dancers representing in the back. Love that. And it makes this formation with aespa feel balanced because they are splitting center, even though you have a low-key feature there in that moment. Then right here, we try it again. They do it once again, and they set up, boom. So now, instead of having this more of a clump where it feels like a girl gang, here it's a it's a more full out, not full out, spaced out formation, so it comes across a little bit more full because they are using more of the studio space. There's your body roll, really nice, love seeing that. Right here, boom, she has a fun little section where she has her hand up, nobody else does, very easy to see her. Da-da-da, and then they finish, done. But notice what our dancers do. They go done to tie into the first course, boom, with the hand behind their head, behind their back. They technically don't really do this like aespa does. They always do bleed down, so I love that. Or they do this kind of wave, and then aespa does the subtlety of what finishes out the course. So they technically did the bookends of each respective course as their conclusion, as their final punctuation of the choreo. I love it. And then there's that speed change as they subtly come up. Wow. Wow. I had so much fun watching this, and I am very excited to learn this. Now, how fast will I be able to learn it? We'll find out. Maybe I'll do a behind the scenes of how long, because I do that with a couple of takes, but I knew this was going to be good. I knew because Patreon never misses. Like, I am so happy I can say that. Like, I knew this was going to be good. What I've seen from aespa has been really nice, and just seeing the get it done, like just hearing that part of my shorts, even though I didn't really watch any of the choreo until now, I'm just like, ooh, this is going to be a banger. I feel it, and oh man, I'm so glad to have taken a look at this. And shout out to Renan for the freaking bodying this in a movement quality context to the degree of making aespa look like a vibe like this. This was so cool. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Zay, for the request. I am, like I said, excited to give this choreo a try. I can't wait to see how this feels on my body. I can already tell this is gonna be one of my favorite parts. I love me a good chest bop with reverbs all day, baby. Man, if you want to see more aespa, hopefully we'll be able to take a look at them more and more over the coming months and comebacks and things like that. I do try to stay on top of groups that I've marathon, meaning I've looked at their entire discography. I haven't had the opportunity to do that with aespa yet, but there's always a chance I may one day, and then that means I get to look at all their stuff all the time and be able to pick up on super dope references of their movement quality as they grow as a group. So maybe one day, we'll see. Once again, my name is Jess, and I will catch you on the flip side. Bye.